Hello, welcome to Bartell's Money Talk. I'm Johnny.
And I am Theresa. And if you want to change the generational cycle in your finances, you need to stay for this episode.
Welcome to Bartell's Money Talk, your go-to podcast for financial empowerment and insight. Let's dive in.
Marcus, thank you so much for joining us on Bartell's Money Talk. And at this time, I will have you introduce yourself. Tell us all about you.
Well, thank you so much. It is lovely to be here. I am honored to be on you all's podcast, just talking about ways that we can help people to be able to grow their wealth and be able to create something sustainable for themselves. So I'm Marcus Howard. I'm based in Chicago, Illinois. As a profession, I am a professional investor. So I am a hedge fund manager, as well as I have started this year a online academy called Tradeology Academy, where we teach middle school and high school students personal finance and how to invest.
Wow.
Wow.
So for you to create this platform and this academy, teaching these young people how to manage money must be on your heart. Can you tell us why you went this route?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's something that I've done for the better part of like 15 or so years in different ways. So I actually started my first business related to personal finance in college. I'll save you the long story because I've told it before, but the short story is that I had got my identity had gotten stolen when I was a freshman in college.
Wow.
Whoa.
And in the process of figuring out how to fix my own credit due to the identity theft, I figured out that there was a way that you can help to build somebody's credit if they were just starting from zero, starting from the beginning. And seeing as I was a freshman in college, I had a plethora of people that I could promote my service to because we were all kind of starting our own lives and our own financial lives. And so during that time, I wrote a book that talked about personal finance in the first part of it. And then the second part of it was all about the credit system and how to be able to get a good score in your first year of school. And from there, I had a friend of mine who helped me develop like a small piece of software. Now it's called software as a service. But before then, it wasn't even called that. It was just I had a computer science major friend who helped me to code up a piece of software that allowed us to do the most important part of credit building, which is like how do you get loans from banks and then have those loans be automated so that your score grows quickly. And so turn that from that tragedy into, a business that I ran for maybe about 12 or so years. Then after that, I merged with another business and I basically kind of merged myself out of the business. So with that, I had a little bit of money on my hands, but a lot more time. And so in that, I started to look into, well, what does investing look like? So I started the same way that I would advise anybody else to start, with a paper money account, meaning that it was simulated, it wasn't real money. But I took that and turned it from about $50,000 in fake money to about 1.5 or $1.6 million. And so it took me about a year to do that. But once I did it, then I took about 10,000 of my own money. I turned that into six figures. And 5 years later now, this is what I do for a living. So I invest for myself and I invest for others.
Okay. So then a lot of people
Well,
don't know what a hedge fund manager is. So what is a hedge fund manager?
Sure. So to keep it simple enough, a hedge fund manager is the same type of investor as like someone who may trade stocks for a living or may trade gold for a living or something like that. The difference between what a normal kind of stockbroker would be and what a hedge fund manager is with a hedge fund, we're typically looking for opportunities that have a higher growth potential. So while if you are using your Roth IRA or your 401k or you have your own retirement account, they're basically going to tell you anywhere between 10 to 12% a year is what you should be looking for, which makes perfect sense. But for me as a hedge fund manager, I'm typically looking for 500, 1,000, 10,000x returns on the sorts of deals that I'm doing.
Well, that's interesting.
that is
Yeah.
just to talk about that. I want to know. I want to ask, how do you get those returns? But I'm gonna slide into something else here,
Sure.
because you said you started the school, right? The
Mhm.
academy for children. So, in your opinion, do you believe finance education should start at home or in the school, and if which one and why?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would say that they reinforce each other.
Okay.
So it should be definitely taught in schools,
Hmm.
but we all know it doesn't. There's only about half of
Absolutely.
the states in the country that even require any sort of financial literacy, and if they do, It's typically only a semester, and I've seen all the courses that they teach. They're all pretty. It's not any of them in particular. It's just this
Mm-hmm.
industry. They're not so engaging. So students
Mm-hmm.
is treated like any other class. On the flip side, it should be taught at home.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue that you run into a lot of times is that the parent has already lived a whole life, which has included a number of financial mistakes. And
Right.
so what you find in a lot of instances is there is embarrassment, there is shame, there is just a general lack of knowledge or true know-how of how to be able to speak to your student or speak to your child in a way that is prosperity based versus scarcity
Mm.
based. And so a lot of these conversations, especially in households like ours, it's not sophisticated conversations around money, but it's more mom or dad, can I have? Which
Mm-hmm.
the answer is usually binary, yes or no. And then
Mm-hmm.
when the question of why comes up, the
Mm-hmm.
typical answer from a parent is because I said so. And the
Mm-hmm.
conversation ends there. So there isn't really these, and this is not every case, of course, but in
Right.
most cases, that isn't conducive for to have healthy and intelligent conversations in and around money. So a service like ours, where Ecology Academy, we have the wisdom from being able to know what works, know what needs to be taught, and then to have a number of successful people. Both, so me, I am a Wall Street person. I've done professional investing for a little under a decade now. To my wife, who is the curriculum director, who is a 20-plus-year education researcher. To most of the people that are on our team are either professional traders or are in the education space. And so we have the tool set to be able to teach this in an engaging way, and we genuinely care to do so. And so a lot of times parents want to do this, they just don't know how to do this. And so we wanted to be able to create something that hopefully will fill that gap.
Okay, and so that's really really good. And
Mm-hmm.
what drew us to you is that your care and your heart for generational wealth,
Yes.
family wealth. And so, in order for the listeners to relate to you, can you share a little bit of your story as a child? Did your parents teach you about
Mm.
money? What gave you this desire to be fascinated with money?
Sure. So there's one caveat or one thing that I want to qualify and say is that I can't say that growing up my motivation or fascination was with money as much as it was helping and serving people. I've always kind of felt
Wonderful.
that money will be a byproduct of that. But
Yes.
I
Yes.
learned very early on that you can't generate money without generating value first. So how can you be a valuable person and the money will follow? I don't know who taught me that. I guess that
Mm.
just kind of came out of the womb or I read it in a book somewhere. I don't really know.
That's good.
Um,
That's true.
but what I can say is that since I was 4 years old, I've had a weird vision for my life. My life wasn't the typical one in terms of I was a bit more mature than the other kids around me. And I'm not saying this is like a diss to anybody, but it was
Right.
just more, even at like 4 or 5 years old,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, these are kids. Like they're playing, like they're playing around. But like I felt different in that sort of
Mm-hmm.
way. And the dream that I usually had was that when I was an adult, that CEOs would work for me. What kid thinks like that at 6 or 7 years old? Not that I would be a business owner,
Not a lot.
but that
Probably.
business owners would be reporting to me. And so that's just kind of stayed in my psyche and it's been in the background in terms of how I've lived my life. I didn't know exactly how I was going to get there. I had the same growing pains like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I had to mature, all of these different things. Some would ask my wife sometimes, I'm even too silly now, where she's not convincing I'm totally mature too. But um, just having those growing pains, I recognize that it was about being able to generate value. Now, where my fascination with kind of the markets and investing and things came from, I was maybe about 13 or so years old, and my mom came home with a CD-ROM one day. You all are old enough to remember what a
Oh
Oh
CD-ROM
yeah.
yes.
Oh yeah.
yeah, where it had like the stock market simulation game on it. And she had just, I don't even know if she even remembers this story, but she was like, hey, like I got this from work. I think if you got really good at this stock market stuff, you can become rich and take care of the family. And because my mom and dad separated when I was so young, and my mom was the one that kind of took care of us, when she said something like that, I took it seriously. Like I was like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to be able to make a contribution to the family, so let me genuinely learn this. And I probably spent about a month and a half to 2 months really trying to figure it out. Couldn't do it. Was terrible at it. Like
Mm-hmm.
threw like cracked the CD-ROM in half because I was so frustrated and threw it away. But that idea never left me. So
Mm-hmm.
although I'd done other stuff like that, I went to Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. I started my first business when I was 19. It was when I got to that stage of like I merged myself out of the business that story came back into my mind about investing in the stock market and how that can create generational wealth and save my family. And so I decided to explore it again, and here I am. So it was
Wow.
really just like little small things that led to just kind of where I am. But to be honest with you, if I'm just being completely transparent, I'm living the life that God has commanded me to live. So I don't really exactly know how I got here, but I'm just following God's wisdom, and it's gotten me here.
Mm. And that's the right thing to follow.
Yeah, I'm like, well, you gave me goosebumps
Yes.
on that one, brought tears to my eyes. That is powerful because, like,
Yes.
maybe you don't know how you got there, but you know God did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you have a heart for families.
Yes.
Like, you want to
Yes.
break these generational cycles of being broke. Why? What can families do to turn around this generational cycle of being broke?
Yeah. So there are so many things that you can do, but there are a number of things that I really want to kind of concentrate and focus on, and just also to be careful because I am a professional investor
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that what I'm saying is not to be interpreted as financial advice. So I just
Perfect.
have to give that caveat just so
Right.
folks would understand that these are ideas, but not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily I'm saying go out and do these things specifically.
Right.
So there's a couple of routes to this, and you don't have to become a professional investor, or you don't have to join a hedge fund or put your money in a hedge fund similar to
Mm-hmm.
something like mine. I'm not saying that I am the solution. What I
Mm-hmm.
want to do is talk about a bit more foundational or universal things that you can do to genuinely grow. So the first thing that I will say is that it all starts energetically and internally. If your heart isn't abundant, you won't be abundant in this outside world. So most people work to try to fix the circumstances outside of them, not realizing that your outside circumstances are directly related to your internal circumstances. And so many people will start and go, let me fix what's out here and then I'll be happy. And I can tell you, as somebody who thought, and this is a very real thing, I used to tell myself when I was in my 20s, man, if I just had $150,000 in the bank, I'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
No issues. I'll be set for life. Everything's going to be okay. I achieved that. Didn't help. In fact, the more money that I made, the worse it got because then I started to feel like somebody could take it away from me. Am I doing all the right things? Like there was just so much around my scarcity mindset that I never fixed, even though the financial abundance was there. And so there's a term or a phrase that exists in the psychology circles, which is called something, it's called your unconscious performance limit. So there's a number that you have in your head and in your body that you're comfortable with making. That could be $10,000, that could be
Mm-hmm.
$100,000, that can be $1,000,000. For every
Mm-hmm.
person, that number is different,
Mm-hmm.
but that number does exist. And once you hit that number, if you start to go above that number, then you are now pulling yourself outside of your comfort zone, and you're going to find in so many instances that you will sabotage your success in order to get back to where you're comfortable. You can point to any lottery winner and look at that example where they've come 25 million, 50 million, 100 million, $1 billion, and within 5 years the money's gone. How does
Yeah.
that happen? It's not because they don't have good habits. It's more there's a number that they were comfortable with, and once they got outside of that, they've done everything within their power to get themselves back to that space. So I know this is like a wealth generation podcast, but I'm telling you that wealth generates from the inside. It does not generate from the outside. So you have to be able to understand the things that you can do to have an abundant heart and have an abundant energetic field. And you'll find that the wealth comes with opportunities for wealth. I'm not saying that the actual money will show up, but opportunities for wealth will show up a lot more frequently. And when they do, you'll take advantage of it. Because how many times have you also found that a good opportunity has come your way, but the way that you react to that opportunity of thinking
Oh
that it did
yeah.
not work or whatever the case is,
Oh yeah.
sabotages it. It's
That's
not that
right.
it didn't come, it's that we
Mm-hmm.
didn't do what was necessary and appropriate to be able to make it happen. So I will start there. Like if nothing else, just understand that it is so simple to really change what's going on with you internally. It really just takes sometimes sitting for 5 to 10 minutes a day and doing something very hard that a lot of humans or a lot of adults can't do, and it's
Mm-hmm.
called pretend. Spend 5 to 10 minutes or 20 minutes of your life pretending that you are
Mm-hmm.
rich, pretending that you are abundant. Think from that space of abundance. One of the things that I've done is like, so pick any budgeting tool, it doesn't matter. But like what I would do is back before I had the $1 million, I would create a budgeting tool on my computer that I could look at, and then I would have $1 million, and it was my job to manage it, to spend it, to figure out how far $1 million actually does go. Can it provide me an opportunity for the rest of my life, or will I run out of money? And spoiler alert, even with $1 million, if you have it, the average is it lasts about 12 to 15 years. So $1 million isn't even enough to retire one of these days. And so just going through those exercises and doing those reps, when I actually got to the point where the $1 million showed up, I was already ready for it. Why? Because I had rehearsed it a number of times already. If you were doing any sort of sport or anything like that, could you play in the NBA championship if you hadn't shot 100,000 free throws in your life? If you hadn't done these drills since you were a little kid? So why do we expect being abundant and being rich to be the same thing? We have to practice these things in order for them to be successful for you. So that's the one thing I would say, just on the internal side. On the external side, we can spend an hour talking about different strategies that you can utilize. But what I
Mm-hmm.
will say is that there's very few people in this world that aren't extremely abundant without owning some sort of business. So if you're working for someone else,
Mm-hmm.
you're honestly not going to get there, because what you're doing is you're making that other person
Yes.
wealthy. You're not making wealth for
Mm-hmm.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's not me saying go quit your job. That's not me saying any of those things. You'd be surprised just how much you can accomplish in just an hour a day, every day for a year, working on something that you were genuinely passionate about to turn it into some sort of income. And especially with what's happening nowadays with the advent of artificial intelligence,
Oh
Oh
yes.
yeah.
you don't even have to be smart anymore. Like all
True.
you have to do is just understand critical thinking enough, and you can think about the job that you are currently in, right? Because I want to give you something tangible and specific without knowing exactly who it is that I'm talking to in the audience. But I'll give you
Mm-hmm.
just a universal example of something that you can do. Everyone has hopefully, some sort of job or some sort of income, in which
Mm-hmm.
if you're working in an office or if you're working for a company, chances are not every single process that you're doing inside of that business is efficient. You are seeing 5 or 10 things that you can improve, but that's not your damn job, so you don't do it. Here's the thing: if it's in that particular business, those
Mm-hmm.
same issues may exist inside the industry itself. And so, with this new advent of artificial intelligence agents, could you spend the $10 or $20 a month to ChatGPT to talk to it about what the issues are specifically in the business, and then ask it to help you to develop some sort of a consulting service so that you can generate standard operating procedures to make that process more efficient? Companies will pay for problems to be solved, and you can do that right now, where you can take your job, whether it's $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, or whatever it may be, and double it just by becoming a consultant for the particular kind of position that you're in, to make sure that all the other companies in your industry can do that better. That's something that doesn't require any money. It doesn't require anything other than a $20 or a free ChatGPT subscription, and
Mm-hmm.
just the desire to say, I'm going to really put myself out there and see if I can improve not just my business, but my industry as a whole.
Wow. Wow. And you're right. Chat GBT is a great tool to use to help start a business and kind of get you on the right course on like starting the business and maintaining the business. So
Yeah.
let's jump back into the family again, because you gave some good nuggets here. So if you are a family, like parents, for instance, and here they are, they want to talk to their children about financial wisdom, financial wealth, right? About building generational wealth.
Mhm.
And you said something that's really good. It has to start from within.
Mhm.
So how many families out there that don't recognize it start from within, but they start conversation with their children just looking at the circumstances from around them and say, hey, we don't have everything. And so we want to talk to you about finances, but we really don't know how to go about it.
You're listening to another episode of Bartell's Money Talk. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. Take charge of your financial future with Bartell's Financial Coaching, led by Theresa Bartelle. We offer personalized guidance to overcome debt and achieve financial peace. Our results-oriented approach provides actionable strategies for lasting change, no matter your background. We welcome you to schedule a free consultation today at 830-252-0320. Start your journey towards a brighter financial future today.
What do you say to them? Because they're not starting from within; they're just starting from their circumstances around them.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna sound like a cop out answer. I'm sorry, but like we have an adult program specifically for this instance because we recognize that like not all parents know how to do these things. They don't know the fundamentals in terms of like what should they know, what is the right way to do this. Like I'm doing what I know how to do in order to maintain. But if I could actually start over and build it the right way, what does that ultimately look like? If you have access to that wisdom, then the conversations within your family change because you are now equipped with the tools to be able to speak intelligently about these things. And then when you couple it with now your student or your child is learning the same thing, now you all are growing together. I think that's probably the biggest thing is for us to be able to have a bit more of an open dialogue about money and not have it be something that is so taboo. Listen, I am not the one that's here to judge people or wag my finger or say that I am better than anybody. The reason why I've gotten to where I've gotten is because I've made all of those mistakes and I've learned how to be able to get through them. And so I'm coming from a genuine place of empathy of saying that you're not going to be able to solve that problem as a parent if you're still in that same space. You have to be able to get access to the right knowledge and the right tools to be able to upgrade yourself to come out of your comfort zone a little bit so that you can show up for your family. And I know that we've got all the other responsibilities. Nobody has free time. So I get that this is easier said than done, but it is something that can genuinely heal your family if you're able to do so. And it's just there are tools. And here's what I'll say on the student side is that your child is looking for that information, whether they get it from you or not. And so they're going to look to you as the parent, as the primary example, because you are the one that is around them the most. But kids aren't dumb. They can tell if you're good with money, if you're not good with money, if you have an abundance mindset, if you have a scarcity mindset. And if they're looking to find another way, the problem is now they're turning to things like YouTube and TikTok. We know what that looks like. That's Lamborghinis. That's, selling the dream, but not necessarily giving you the practical tools. And so knowing that those sorts of things exist out here, we've just tried to be able to provide a juxtaposition to that to be like, look, man, I know that these folks are out here and this stuff exists, but that's not the way you're going to really be successful at this. Like you have to understand the principles behind what they're doing. And sometimes the principles aren't as sexy, but principles are really the things that are going to have you be successful over the long term. And so we help to be able to teach those things in our academy.
Well, Marcus, I can put the questions out here, but you are the first person that I'm going to ask this question. And I strongly believe in my heart that you have it within you to answer this question.
Oh, wow. No pressure.
Based on, and I'm not like poking fun or being mean, to like anybody. But based on what I've seen and experienced, you have a lot of men that don't have like visions, like they don't understand how important it is for generational wealth.
Yeah.
So can you speak into this man's life and let him know how important it is for generational wealth, like to make sure that things are taken care of for his wife in the event that he dies. Make sure that there's a college fund. Marcus, there are so many men that just don't do that. Yeah. So now I need you to speak into their lives because in a lot of families, they're only going to go as far as dad takes them, as far as husband takes them.
Yeah. In this moment, God, give me the right words to say. Because I don't want to come from a place of, again, judgment. I
Right.
get how it is. I get how hard it is as a man. Like
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times, I don't think that people that if you aren't a man, you don't truly appreciate the pressures that are put on us
Wow.
to perform at that level on a
Woo.
consistent basis. And then if we are having a bad day, or if we need help, or if we need nurturing, or if we need love, a lot of times we're told that we just have to deal with it. We have to stiffen up our upper lip. Man, there were so many times in my life where it has probably helped me to get to partially where I am today, but I had to abandon this idea because it wasn't true. That I would just say nobody cares, work harder. But it wasn't true, but then also wasn't an empowering belief to hold because people do care. And I just wasn't receiving that.
Mm-hmm.
So what's really important to understand is like, yes, we have to build these things as men, but it's important for us to understand that as men, we have to have the mechanisms by which that we can heal ourselves and to start there. I mean, it's really important to again fix these internal things that are going on because energetically, what you what you portray to your family
Mm-hmm.
sometimes is more valuable even than the money that you bring in. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't bring in the money, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but think about how often a husband or even a wife or whatever has a long day of work in which you're performing the entire day, and
Mm-hmm.
you come home and all of those vents and frustrations and things that you have are now being brought out on your family.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't deserve it. It's not
Right.
their fault. But it's just we don't have another mechanism by which that outlet can be released. Therefore, if it's still pent up, we don't have the opportunity to be able to vent it in a healthy way. That's why you find so many men check out, play video games, resort to drugs and alcohol because they don't have a healthy way to be able to vent from the energetic stuff
Mm-hmm.
of life that is just simply happening. There used to be a time, or at least one of the things that I try to promote is like, even within families, the second that mom or dad gets home, give them a second. Like you
Mm-hmm.
have no idea what they dealt with before they walked through the door, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't thinking about whatever it is that you're about to tell them. You know what I mean?
That's
Oh
true.
yes.
Give them even just that 10 minutes to be able to
Mm-hmm.
recalibrate, to not
Mm-hmm.
feel like, man, I got to deal with it out here, and now I got to
Mm-hmm.
deal with it at home as well. Like that can
Mm-hmm.
be deflating if you don't have a positive place to turn. And I would probably say one of the things that has made me the happiest and healthiest in my life is that thankfully, like my wife is not that way. She is the opposite of that. She is one of those people that does like that is excited when you're home every day, is
Mm-hmm.
excited to show you that you are appreciated,
Mm-hmm.
is willing to give you that 10 minutes before she asks for something to just let you
Mm-hmm.
recalibrate and get yourself
Mm-hmm.
together before then we have conversations about whether it's bills, what do you want for dinner, all of these different
Mm-hmm.
things. But like to understand that I am a person and that I have needs as well,
Mm-hmm.
and that it goes a little bit deeper than just how was your day. So I don't believe that the issue is one that is financial because, and again, it's not to belittle the fact that like finance is an important thing because
Right.
it really is,
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
but being broke is a symptom. It's not the cause. It's not the issue. Um, Not being emotionally available is a symptom. It's
Mm-hmm.
not the issue. So if we're not treating the actual issue itself, then I can talk to you all day about work harder, but at
Mm-hmm.
what? Set up these things or these foundational things from your family for your family, but with what money? Prioritize how you budget and how you decide to work within your family on setting up the finances and whether it's a business or whatnot. But with what emotional capacity are we asking people to do these things?
Mm-hmm.
And so again, I know that this is a finance-based podcast, but like
Mm-hmm.
it's on my heart to say that
Right.
it's deeper than that. Like
Yes.
it is when you can heal as a person that all this other stuff comes. But so many times in our brains, we're just thinking that we have to be stronger, we have to work harder, we have to do all these things, and that's typically not the answer. It usually leads to more burnout. So I don't know if
Well,
that was the correct answer, but like that's the answer that I have, to be
That was
honest.
no,
a beautiful
no,
answer.
I think yeah, that was spot on actually because you're right. It might be a finance podcast, but all that ties to getting to the finances. If you don't have what you just said, you ain't gonna make it to get to the finances because you're gonna be burned out. You ain't gonna be
Yeah,
able to even heal within to get to where you need to go. So that's spot on. I
Yeah.
think that's spot on.
And like with me being a woman and I have a husband, I'm praying that someone is listening to what you said because I never really even thought about he doesn't have an outlet. So
mm,
a lot of the men they don't have outlets and so they resort to other things and leading the family and taking care of finances. They're not really thinking about that because they're not able to decompress.
yeah.
So that was meant for someone to hear.
Mm-hmm. That was powerful.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Marcus. Thank you. That was needed. You might be have needed to heard that too,
Yeah, no,
right?
that was good for me.
Yeah.
See, I'll be honest, that was good for me. So thank you for kind of taking the time and asking God to provide you the right words to say because that is going to impact somebody. And so when somebody hear that, they're going to say, "That's what I needed."
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely.
Right. And it might be a guy that's listening who needs to share this, what you said with their wife, because they don't have the courage to say it themselves. And honey, listen to this part. Listen to what he said.
Hmm.
And it can help her to understand better. So there was a reason why, too, that I chose you to ask this question. So now, can you leave the audience 3 things of wisdom that you would like to leave that could possibly impact their lives? I know you got it. You've been doing this for umpteen years. Give us
Yeah.
3 things.
3 golden nuggets.
Yes.
Um, okay. So if you're, I'm just trying to think of the categories in terms of places that I can bring wisdom because there's wealth comes not just in money. Money is typically the byproduct of it.
Mm-hmm.
So don't just think of wealth as money, but you have to really think of like your health as a version of wealth,
Mm-hmm.
your finances as a version of wealth, and your relationships
Oh,
as a
yes.
version of wealth. And if you can focus your life in on optimizing your health, your finances, and your relationships, and then the fourth one I would put is your relationship with God, because that's a really important one, then you're going to be all right. You know what I mean? So, what we really try to get to in life, more than happiness, if you really think about it, more
Mm-hmm.
than security, which is another thing, which I want to just kind of call back to students. A lot of times when students look for the people on TikTok or Instagram, they're not looking for how do I get rich. I mean, that's a part of it, but what they're really looking for is security. Like, who can
Right.
I look to that can show me a secure or proven way to be able to not feel like I have to worry about money? Like, yes, I want to go on trips and have those elaborate things, but like underneath all of that is just the means to be able to do that, to have the
Hmm.
security to be able to do so. So security is an important piece of this, but underneath all of that, what we're genuinely looking for is peace.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
There you go.
Because
Yes.
I know plenty of rich people, and I
Oh.
can put myself in that category at sometimes, who are just like they're unhappy. They're not at peace. But then you can find somebody who doesn't have 2 pennies to rub together. They just are in that state of happiness and they're in that state of peace. And happiness and peace aren't the same thing. So it's
Absolutely.
not fear, it's not happiness, it's this peace underneath it. And if I can
Mm-hmm.
give any wisdom to you, I will tell you that peace does not come from outside circumstances. Peace comes from within. Like
Wow.
you can create peace just by working on that bit of it. Of like even just alluding to what I was doing before, spending 10 minutes of your life
Mm-hmm.
just sitting. And I know you got stuff going on and responsibilities and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
but just sitting and practicing what it feels like to be at peace. And it may take you 10 minutes, it may take you 20 minutes, it may take you even an hour, okay, of quiet in the mind, quiet in distractions to really get to that place where you feel it, but then you do. And once you do, my next question is if you can call it up then, what's stopping you from calling it up every single time that you need it? Nothing but your own will. And so we find that we are able to internally generate whatever state we need to be and feel whatever way we need to, but we look to the outside of us to be able to get those things. That's why I need the mansion. That's why I need the car. That's why I need the security blanket. That's why I need the life insurance. All these things will help me to feel more at peace. But peace never comes from those things, because any of those things, all of those things can and oftentimes will be taken away from you.
Oh, yes.
But it's that area. And so if I were to give a practical tool, which it's interesting because I wasn't interested or decided to promote this guy's thing, but it's important. So there was a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, and he does a consciousness study where his thing is called 45 Days to Awakening, in which what he does in those 45 days is gets you basically to a state of what he calls fundamental well-being, where you can get to a state where internally, no matter what's going on in your outside circumstances, internally, you can just maintain that peace. Because that's what we're really after at the end of the day.
Yes.
And if you can be able to call a peace upon command, then you'll find that life becomes a lot simpler, because you're not going to go out and chase all this other stuff in order to get it. You're just going to have it. You're going to operate from that place. And boy, will your life be different.
There it is. Ooh, Marcus, listen, we really appreciate this conversation that we had with you on our podcast. I mean, this has really been powerful. Really, it's life changing, because if somebody really take what you're saying to heart, they can really transform their life. So, thank you very much for joining Bartell's Money Talk. And if anyone would like to reach out to you, how would they go about doing that?
Sure. If you want to reach out to me personally, all of my social handles are Marcus Howard HQ. So you can find me there, Instagram, wherever. If you're interested in kind of what we're working on, where we're helping both parents and students with being able to create generational wealth for themselves, to be able to understand the fundamentals of personal finance, financial literacy, and how to invest, then you can just simply go to tradecology.com. So that's think psychology, but for trading. So tradecology.com.
Okay. Anything else, honey?
I just want to say thank you so much. You have truly been a blessing. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for saying yes. Marcus, we wish you the best. Thank you for joining Bartell's Money Talk.
My pleasure. I wish the same for you both.
Thank you.
All right. So until next time, if you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll be back again with more fresh content. That's all for today's episode of Bartell's Money Talk. We hope you found our discussion insightful and empowering.
If you want to stay connected and access more tips and resources, don't forget to subscribe to Bartell's Money Talk on your preferred podcast platform.
And please consider leaving us a review. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners like you.
For even more financial guidance and exclusive content, visit our website at bartellscoaching.com.
Until next time, remember, the journey to financial freedom is within reach.
I'm Theresa.
And I'm Johnny Bartell, signing off. Take care, and here's to your financial success.